Hey Queens. Um, I've literally just finished filming a retraction video about 1984. It is... I can hear knocking, sorry. It is, I believe, the 3rd of February. Yeah, 3rd of February. I don't need this, by the way. I just had this here from when I was doing my 1984 video. Literally 2 seconds ago. I literally pressed stop on that video and came back to this. I finished my book for February. The Hunger Games. I was supposed to finish this by the end of February. Obviously, well, not obviously. So I've set myself a challenge because I want to do more reading than I do. I've set myself a challenge to read one book every month at least, right? My book for January was 1984 by George Orwell, which I have already posted a review video for that, and then I've just finished filming the retraction to my review video for that because I changed my mind. And my book for February was The Hunger Games. Obviously, like I said, it's the 3rd of February, so you might be thinking, why are you here already? Let me tell you about it. I finished 1984 on the 19th of January, right? So when I finished 1984, I literally, genuinely threw it down on my grandmother's bed and immediately picked this up. And I read the first page like 5 times, and I just couldn't, for some reason, stop thinking about 1984 and get into this one. So I kind of was like, I will leave this for now and I'll pick it back up on the 1st of February. Which is when I was supposed to start reading that anyway. Give myself time to move on. And I did. So 1st of February, it was probably around midnight when I picked up the book, like coming up on midnight. The day was pretty much over and I realised I hadn't started reading. And I was on the phone to my boyfriend at the time, so I didn't really expect to get much reading done because I'm not very good at reading whilst on the phone with my boyfriend, but I was like, as long as I can bash out one chapter, I'm good. So anyway, I got carried away and finished the book by 6 a.m. on the 2nd. I read the entire book in one night, and started Catching Fire, which is supposed to be next month's book. So, oops, I guess. It's a great book. I have read it before. I read it when I was like probably about 10 or 11. But obviously it is a book that does involve politics a little bit. And I, at 10 or 11, had no concept of politics. I did just discuss this in the video I just finished filming. So the reason I decided to reread it is because where I have a better understanding of politics now, I thought maybe I would be reading it from a different viewpoint and it would have a different effect on me. It did not. I just love the book. It's a great book. I think maybe the politics angle will probably come in a bit more towards the end of Catching Fire, Mockingjay kind of area. But yeah, I enjoyed this book a lot. I have put zero pre-planning into this video, so I don't really fully know what to say. But there's a lot of stuff that happened in it that I don't remember happening in it. And there's a lot of stuff that didn't happen in it that I remember happening in it because it happened in the movies, and where, again, I haven't read this book since I was like 10 or 11. And I've watched the movies so many times that there's stuff like the note that Hamish sent that says, "You call that a kiss," isn't in the book. And I forgot that it wasn't in the book because I haven't read it in a while. That's just an example. There's so much stuff that I forgot happened in this book that doesn't happen in the movies. For example, the end scene with Kato and the Mutts in the Hunger Games. In the movie, they're like walking around, they hear the cannon go off because Thresher's been killed, and then they keep walking, and then suddenly, oh, there's Mutts, let's run, climb up onto the cornucopia, there's Kato. In the book, that's not how it happens. First off, Thresh dies before Foxface does in the book. And they outright decide to go and find Kato. They decide, because they are kind of camped in a cave next to a lake, and they realise the lake is dried up, which they figure out means that the game makers are trying to get them to go to the big lake that's by the cornucopia so that they can fight Kato. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's just get this over with. We can do it. And then they make it all the way to the cornucopia without meeting a mutt. And they have to kind of sit there for a bit and wait for Kato. And then Kato comes running out of the woods, and they're expecting him to, like, attack them, but he kind of just runs past them, and they're like, that's bad, because that means he's running from something. We're gonna go follow him. And then they're actually on the cornucopia with Kato for a while before he decides to grab Peter. So there's a lot of stuff that happens differently, and I've really enjoyed rereading this book. If you've only watched... I've just realised I shouldn't have probably said that, because of spoilers. Oh no. If you've never watched the book and have only read the movies, I highly recommend going and reading the book. Even if you have read the book, but it was a while ago, and you've watched the movies a whole lot since, I highly recommend reading the book. It's just so good. I've only been talking for 6 minutes, and I've already run out of things to say because I didn't pre-plan this, and I'm stupid. And I have only ever done one book review video before, and it was on 1984, so I don't really know what to talk about. I don't really know how you're supposed to structure a book review video, I'll be honest. But, yeah, it's a good book. I liked it. I think, even though I've read it before and even though I've watched the movies, the fact that there was so much happening that is different from the movies and different from how I remembered it, made it... I was kind of expecting to be reading this knowing everything that's going to happen, having, like, no surprises. But the fact that there were still surprises and things that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened, I forgot that didn't happen, meant that it was still a very enjoyable read, even though I've read it before. And I think the movies definitely don't do the book justice. And the movies are great, by the way, but it's just... there's so much detail in the book that isn't in the movies that, honestly, I completely forgot about. There's so many, like, likable characters, even though most of the characters are in it are supposed to be, like, horrible. You're supposed to hate them. Like the Capital. They make so many people likable, even though the main character doesn't think she is. And I feel like I'm saying stuff that is stupid and everyone knows, but Katniss is an unreliable narrator, right? And I've seen a lot of stuff recently about the Hunger Games that's kind of brought into a new light just how actually terrifying Katniss is. So reading the book with, like, that perspective also gave it a whole new kind of angle of, like, she thinks that she's not got that much of a chance. She thinks that, like, at the start of it, she doesn't think she has that much of a chance. As she starts going through, she kind of starts to think that she does, but, you know. But really, I don't know. I feel like I should have pre-planned this before I did, but, yeah, I don't know how much I can say without spoiling the book for people who haven't read the book and have only watched the movies. Because there's so many things... When I was a kid and I was reading this, the main thing that I enjoyed about it was like the romance side of it, right? I thought it was so sweet that even though they're gonna die, well, they didn't die, but even though like they thought they were gonna die, they loved each other. Do you know what I mean? And that was kind of all that I took from it when I was a kid is, oh my god, I love Peter Malark. I wish Peter Malark was real. And reading this, I know I just said it didn't really affect me in a different way than it did when I was a kid. But I did find that a lot more, as I was reading this as a grown-up, I was finding more enjoyment in, like, the actual plot of the book, if that makes sense, more than just, "Aww, Peter said something so sweet to her." Do you know what I mean? Also, Katniss is a lot more witty than I remember her being in the book. Not in, like, a sly and smart way, in, like, a sassy kind of way. Like, I don't remember her being as sassy as she is, but she's, like, taunting people in this book. Yeah. Good book. Good book. Go read it. I know I've only been talking for 10 minutes, but I have nothing else to say other than it's a great book. I don't care if you've watched the movie a million times. I don't care if you've read the book when you were a kid and not read it since. Read this book. Read it. That's all I have to say. Good job, Suzanne Collins. I just got really paranoid that wasn't her name then, but it is. Yeah. See ya.